Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. We have a very interesting show today. Something taking a tack that we wouldn't normally take. Normally we'd be talking about what's going on in the world of arm wrestling, but today I have a special guest, filmmaker Dilan Gorrie from Rockhampton in Queensland. How are you, mate?
Good. Yourself?
Yeah, mate. Excited to be in the midst of someone who actually knows what's going on in terms of the film and entertainment industry. So, because man, as you can see from my setup here, I'm pretty much a beginner when it comes to all this, but I guess arm wrestling for me is the dream is to turn arm wrestling into something real, and working with filmmakers I think is a massive catalyst to actually getting quality content out there. So tell us a little bit about your background, filmmaking, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, so my background is I have 1 year's experience. I absolutely knew nothing about filming, didn't know how to use a camera a year ago.
Yep.
So what I did was went on YouTube, and pretty much the main reason why I got into it because I was watching one of Casey Neistat's vlogs, and the reason I got into filmmaking is because he was talking about storytelling, and I've always loved storytelling. And then he was talking about storytelling videos.
Yeah. And
he said storytelling videos, and then I realized I always loved watching videos. Like I remember watching Lord of the Rings and all those kind of great films, and it's like, oh, that's perfect. So I picked up a camera.
Yep.
And the rest is history.
Yeah, that's
and awesome. Yeah, so that's what I did, and then I did a internship.
Yep.
In Brisbane when I was living in Brisbane at the time. Did that for a month, and I left it because it wasn't a right fit for both the company and myself. After that, worked casual. A job it was meant to go full-time, but it didn't, so I was doing casual work for a social media influencer in Gold Coast. Yeah, so I did that, and it was meant to go full-time, but my gut feeling was saying I'm going to get let go, and funny enough, after having a conversation, I got let go a week later, but I already organised to move to Sydney.
Yeah, nice. Because
from my gut was saying Sydney's the film of Australia.
Yeah, well, it's interesting for me, filmmaking, I guess, like for all the viewers of the show, they kind of know the story, but for me, it's the dreams that just turn arm wrestling into something that people entertain, and I don't think that arm wrestling itself is entertaining enough to really draw a crowd. So you said storytelling. I think through powerful storytelling is the only real way that we get arm wrestling to be genuinely entertaining. Like, did you know arm wrestling existed as a sport before meeting me?
No. And that's the funny thing is, like, you find out that there's certain things in different industries that you never thought would be for filming. Yeah.
So arm wrestling, I guess, to give you a snapshot of where arm wrestling's at on an entertainment scale, it's been on ESPN in the USA for about 45 years. It's had a World Arm Wrestling Federation, which has put on quality tournaments. Like, they're trying to pursue the Olympic path, but they've never really put out anything that's entertaining. No content. They put a live stream out. That's about it. But for me, what's lacked in the sport, and what I personally feel would take the sport to the next level, is the ability to really tell the stories of characters within the sport and allow the public to relate to one person and to really hate the other person for whatever reason, and then bring them together and have a match. Is that the kind of storytelling that you see as the most effective, or is there a different angle that you see?
No, that's a good angle. It's like, there's so many ways you can do filming, so there's no right or wrong answer, and the only way you can find out if you put it out there on the internet, you get a lot of traction, you've done your job.
Yeah. I guess you and I were talking earlier about the climate of digital entertainment out there at the moment. There's a big shift away from mainstream media, television, and it's YouTube and online digital streaming is becoming the main thing. Are you seeing that evolution as well? Yeah,
so I recently did a video for Beef Australia in Rockhampton, and part of the filming I did was we put some film on the news.
Yep.
And the company that paid for it, that we did the filming for the advertisement, it's super expensive and it's super tedious, and it's just not worth it. Like, we found that you get more results on social media for less price.
Yeah. And I know personally I consume more entertainment now online than I do in traditional media. I know I still watch, there's a couple of TV shows that might grab my interest, but most of the time I'm either like, I guess Netflix is kind of halfway between the two now. It's kind of become mainstream, but I love the niche stuff that you can find on YouTube, and arm wrestling certainly fits into that.
Well, I haven't watched TV in 10 years.
There you go.
Pretty much. All I watch is YouTube and Netflix, pretty much.
Yeah. And what I like about YouTube and Netflix, and well, particularly YouTube and all the free distribution channels, is that startups like yourself and myself can actually get an audience. We don't have to go and beg some network to be able to put our show on there, and it means we can start with a low quality thing and just refine as we release. And that to me has been the biggest thing that I see value in, and it's honestly been what's made it possible for even to have this as a show. And that's
yeah, well, it's awesome because like 10 years ago podcasts weren't a thing.
Yeah.
Well, probably would be, but it's not as popular now. And I remember when I was first starting out doing filmmaking, it was ruthless. And I was just working crazy hours. Like I was working 80 to 100 hours when I first started out, and I'm still starting out. But when I really started out, and I was like lost. I was like, am I doing the right thing? Is this normal to work this many hours? And when you first start out, and then I listened to a music podcast, and the guy works for he was doing an internship in America and working for the top music producers, and he was just talking about how he started and how he went through all stuff, and then it made me feel like relieved that I'm not the only one that's going through it. Yeah. So that's why the podcast industry is awesome.
Yeah, I agree that it's a hard slog no matter what you're starting, but quality rises to the top pretty quick, and if it's what you enjoy doing, then it's easy to stick it out through those hard initial times. But so you're working for a company that uses your skills for external clients and all sorts of stuff, but you really want to end up in your own brand of filmmaking, independent filmmaking.
So next probably 5 to 10 years, I want to run my own company.
Yeah.
So right now where I am with my skill set and the company I work for, because the company I work for is amazing, great boss, great co-workers, and so I'm going to do that for a couple of years, and then on the side I'm going to work on my business, and then when it's time I'll go my own way.
Yeah, nice.
And that's what everyone does. Everyone, when they first start out, they work for a company to get the experience and
get the runs on the board.
Yeah, connections and all that stuff. And then after 10 years, they end up doing their own thing.
Yeah. And again, that comes back for me as to why I love this whole ecosystem that we're in. That you can actually, there's opportunity for you to literally turn even the most obscure thing. Now, I know arm wrestling's obscure, but you see successful businesses and entrepreneurs, filmmakers on some incredibly obscure subject matters and that, but you put stuff out there with consistency, and you increase your quality over time. You naturally find your audience, and like what this channel's got about 9,000 subscribers now, and it's to the point where it's a legitimate business now, which it kind of blows my mind. Like 5 years ago when I started this channel, I would have had no idea that it would actually get to a point where it became a career, but here we are. So it's pretty exciting times. Is there a particular type of filmmaking that drew you in initially, or?
Not really. Pretty much, I like all filmmaking.
Yeah.
So anything like I like to do multiple things.
Yep.
So I like to do all genres.
Yeah, of course. And you and I are doing a vlog as well. Like today. I don't even know which video is going to be released first, but anyway, if you're watching this podcast, make sure you go and check out the vlog, and if you've seen the vlog already and you're now watching this, hello to you. But we did a bit of a vlog today, kind of, and that's what I love about content is that I really value the behind the scenes content. Vlogging to me allows your audience to get to know really who you are, what you're doing, and the journey that you're on. Are you a fan of vlogging?
Yeah, like as a filmmaker, I was like, I'm spending all this time filming. It's like, am I quick enough? Am I slow enough? Yep. And you don't really know. And then recently I watched a not sort of like behind the scenes vlog, and I'm spending the right amount of time like shooting real estate. Yeah. So I thought I was overshooting, but I'm actually like nearly on the sweet spot. So it's good to like comparisons can be really good and really bad. Yeah. So that's why I love vlogs, because they talk about experiences, and then you can compare to see, if I'm doing right or I'm doing wrong.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of authenticity in vlogging, and that's what I love most about it, is that you connect with your audience properly. Too many people try to get on camera and try to just be the person that they think the audience wants them to be, as opposed to just going, oh, well, here I am, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm going to give it a crack anyway.
Well, I was recently watching a vlog about should you go freelance and leave your full-time job.
Yep.
And after watching that vlog, I'm like, yeah, I'm not ready. Definitely not ready.
Oh no, but you're freelancing now. You're 50-50, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm 50-50 at the moment for the so 50% company, and then trying to do some freelance on the side.
Yeah, nice. And you'll end up fully freelance or your own company someday.
Yeah, someday. Who knows when?
Yeah. So I want to ask you specifically about arm wrestling, and in particular, from the filmmaker's perspective. If you had to take a sport that virtually has no mainstream recognition at all, and you had to paint it in a light to try to win new fans to the sport, how would you approach it?
I would approach it in a number of ways. I would approach it like do podcasts like this, and then to also give like some content of maybe teenagers that are interested, and bring awareness to the sport, because I didn't know it was a thing, and I think most people don't know it's a real professional sport, and you can make a career out of it. So I'd do that, and then also get some other arm wrestlers and just start a conversation. And once you start a conversation, you get more people interested, and balls rolling.
So would you say that the style of content, that as long as it's well produced, will achieve the same sort of thing? Like on one hand, we could have like an Olympic style, really disciplined tournament where the tournament is filmed really well and released. On the other hand, you've got like at the extreme, like WWE style characters that just are like Conor McGregor over here, Nate Diaz over here, talking about who's better, who's worse, and then them coming to a match.
Well, if there's like an event, I recently watched the event you went overseas, in Europe.
Moldova.
I fell asleep watching it.
Yes.
And I had no idea what was going on. So if you had like a filmmaker and then go through the process of like his training and why you have to do certain things, like certain techniques, and then film like how, like, is this guy's like, is he like number one in the world? Because I had no idea.
No context at all.
Yeah, I had no context of what was happening. So that's what needs to be.
I like that you said that, because that's where arm wrestling, I feel, has fallen short over the years. They've tried to bring the content to the public eye, and everyone's the same. Everyone falls asleep because it's boring. If you watch so many matches, you don't know who's going on. No one's interested. Like, you watch 2 or 3 arm wrestlers and you're over it. I personally feel like you got to be drawn in. You got to have some background and some context on the characters. You got to know who's who, and you've got to. I feel like you've got to really have your favorites and have your enemies and the ones that you really hate. So. Moldova was really well produced. Like, in terms of that event was put together in 3 weeks, and in terms of the production crew there, it was a lot of people, a lot of good equipment. But one thing I noticed, and I didn't watch the live feed, I was there, but I've heard a lot of people say that the people behind the camera clearly didn't know who was who in the sport either, and they were just filming what they thought might have been interesting, and they were missing matches between the world champ and a #1 contender or something like that. So,
well, just like I won't go into too detail into it, but Logan Paul versus KSI, right? That event, I tried to watch it first, like couple minutes. I was like, this is boring. Yeah. Because it's just one camera that's straight on. There's no real story behind it. It's like 2 guys fighting, okay, but what else? Yeah. And if you're a good, if you're a good filmmaker, I recently watched a new video from one of my favorite filmmakers, Peter McKinnon, and he made he was talking about story, and he's like saying, oh, I've got nothing to film, there's nothing in my house. Like, well, I'm going to make a short video about lens caps. Yep. The most boring thing in the world. It made it super interesting, and I did not fall asleep watching it.
Yeah, and that's so true, isn't it? Like, when you tell a story well, it doesn't matter how boring. And that's why I've got faith in the arm wrestling thing, because even though arm wrestling isn't the most interesting thing on the planet, it's interesting enough that I think when told well, it will be super interesting. Ultimately, the whole package people will enjoy. So that's kind of what my dream and goal is. And I guess the exciting thing about pound for pound arm wrestling is that it's at the point where we can start working with people like you, because I mean, everyone must be sick of me holding a shaky camera, and at least I'm not holding a mobile phone anymore. I used to be holding a mobile phone, but I'm holding a camera that's shaky, and my editing skills are certainly a long way short of where they should be. But I'm excited for the sport because I've got two dreams within the sport. One is to be an arm wrestler myself at the elite level, and the other is to bring the sport to the mainstream status. So I'm excited, and I think that with the right storytelling, I think this sport could be enjoyable.
Well, a good example that's recently happened is the gaming industry.
Mm-hmm.
Probably 10 years ago, super weird to be in the gaming industry.
Yeah.
And now it's like with Twitch, it's become really popular.
Yeah, it's like one of the biggest paying esports is like, I think the number one on the planet.
They just had a new one I think it was in America.
Yeah.
And super organised event. It was massive. I couldn't believe how big it is now.
Yeah, huge sponsors, huge prize money, and massive audiences watching.
Yeah.
And all with things like Twitch, like you said, people with their fans and watching. I've never been on Twitch in my life, but I understand the concept of Twitch, and it's really interesting. Like the concept of width versus depth in your audience as well. I think a lot of people have kind of misunderstood the value of those things. A lot of people chase width being just how many followers do I have versus depth of how much does my audience enjoy the content that I put out. And I think to me depth is way more important than width. Do you agree on that one?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
100%.
I'd prefer 1,000 followers that love the episode than 20,000 who watch 10 seconds.
Well, there's a couple filmmakers I know, and they've got like probably 1,000, 2,000 followers, but they're working with global brands.
Yeah.
Because they have a good engagement. Not just, you could have like 100,000 followers and then have no engagement, pretty much.
Yeah.
Or you have 1,000 followers that have super engagement, and then you get more done with that way.
Yeah. It's fascinating where it all ends up. Like, if I had a crystal ball and I knew the path, it'd be great. Like my dream is, like I said, on the arm wrestling sense, to maybe create something like a UFC. I think a UFC of arm wrestling would be tremendous. Telling the stories of fighters, allowing them to have press conferences, putting them together, seeing who wins, and then the appropriate movement on the ladder of rankings and allocation of new fights and all that sort of stuff. And that's something where I feel like I can travel to multiple countries around the world. I can do one in Brazil, I can do one in Japan, and have the Japanese champion up against whoever I bring and that sort of stuff. And to me, that's where I can see the vision of it getting there, and it's just a matter of treading the path. And for me, I guess the vlogging, where I like the vlogging is that it brings all the people who are watching now, before we've established that, it brings them along and shows them how we're building it and how we're getting there, and that achieves a lot of that depth that we were talking about, as opposed to just width. Because I don't know, if we just went out straight out with the UFC thing, it'd cost you a lot of money to produce it, and you'd have not enough of an audience. So the vlogging helps slowly build that audience as you get there. You agree?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. So where to from here for you in the filmmaking industry? What you said your company is your goal. Where to from here?
So I start a new job in February with the company I work for now. So not new job, just a new contract.
Yep.
It's pretty much like a dream come true.
Yep.
With the type of filmmaking I'll be doing. And then I also just, when I have more days off, just work on my own stuff. So just doing multiple stuff.
So hopefully we'll get you in the arm wrestling world before you know it. So tell me, have you ever had a professional arm wrestle before?
No.
I like to, all my guests that I get on the show have to have an arm wrestle. So you've got an advantage that I've got a sore elbow.
Yeah, that's not going to matter.
So let's put these aside and let's have an arm wrestle. The rules: elbow on the pad. Is the pin line. If you get me down to there and you win, you can touch me there, or just get my wrist down to the same level. Left hand on the peg. Okay. And then just go for it. So let's just see what you got. Okay. Oh yeah. Nice.
Can I move my body?
Anything you want. Very good. Oh, he's going for it. Nice. So, like, what I did there was, that was strong. I didn't pull back because you were in one of those instinctive positions that had I pulled back, you're at risk of breaking your arm. So So when you pin, a quick lesson on how to do it safely.
Okay.
So you just, no pressure.
Yeah.
So pin by dropping your body below, as opposed to like that. Alright?
Like this?
Yeah, that's better. Nice. Yeah, you're strong, man. Well done. Good stuff.
There you go.
Thanks for coming on the show.
All good.
Alright, done.